their stories. Welcome to Diana Prince Lives Next Door. Through my journey as a photographer and business owner, I have met so many remarkable women who make contributions to the world every day and make it a more beautiful and colorful place. This series is dedicated to them. I want to acknowledge their power, their beauty. I want to shine a spotlight on their daily heroism. Today's Diana Prince is Elaine Williams of Captivate the Crowd. Elaine is a visibility coach, and she helps women all the time show up to their brands. Elaine, thank you for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me, Angela. Thank you.
Well, I actually want to chat about something that's right in your wheelhouse today. I just think it's so important to highlight what you do for women, because there are a lot of women out there who want to be successful in their business, and something does keep them back. I see it all the time because I see a lot of women business owners who may have a headshot out there on LinkedIn that's over 10 years old. I see it on websites where maybe women business owner may choose stock photography versus getting personal branding photos. Basically, what's happening is that they're not putting themselves out there in front of their potential clients. And that know and trust aspect of business building potentially suffers. So what you do, Elaine, is that you help women get comfortable in front of the camera, particularly video. You helped me, and that's the only reason I'm here right now. So thank you very much. I'm just going to put that out there, that I am a former client of Elaine's. So I'm super happy to have you here. But one of the things that you do, Elaine, is that you not only provide the coaching on a one-on-one basis, but you also do it by example. Your Instagram feed is just alive with stories and reels, and it always looks like you're having a great time, and you do it consistently. So basically, I just want to ask you to share with us how you show up to your social media on a daily basis or consistently, as I point out, which is important for building a business.
Wow. Well, thank you. Great question. And thank you so much. I mean, I just love to see you blossom, and it's been awesome to see you with your journey. I think this is such an exciting time to be a middle-aged woman and up and be in business or growing or starting wherever you are in your journey. There's a lot of people calling them the third act. Forget the second act. A lot of us then are in our third act, or maybe even fourth, right? And I think one of the things that needs to be acknowledged is video is so powerful. And that's why it's so scary, because you can kind of fudge. We all have seen the perfect Facebook families, right? And it's much harder to sort of fudge a video because your energy comes through more. It's more transparent. It's a longer thing. And I still have days where I'm like, oh, my hair, oh, I'm getting new wrinkles. I still have those self-critical days. So I try to feed myself with positivity. I pray and meditate every morning. I always try to have some spiritual time, whether it's my 12-step with my sober sisters or reading. I journal. It's important for me to come from my heart, from the inside out, because if I am too focused on all the latest trends or and I'm human, it looks like everybody on Instagram is tall and skinny and perfect and lives in this perfect house. I mean, that's what my brain remembers. And that's what my brain compares me to, because I am short and curvy. And so even though there's a million things on Instagram, right? There's a million things happening. When I am not in a great place, that's where I go into compare despair. And so knowing that helps me shake it off. I do warm-ups. I was dancing earlier because I've been working all morning, and I was like, I want to be fun and free for Angela. And so I do all kinds of tips and tricks, but there are some days where I don't totally feel it, but I show up anyway because my commitment is bigger than my considerations and my inner critic. And I'm a huge fan of, like, it is not about you, Elaine. It is about them. It's about making the difference with my story and with my life and with my work. And so that is a great place to get centered from. And that helps me show up. And we all have those days where you're like, my hair is good. I feel good about my body. Let's do it.
Mhm.
Oh, and then go for it. Go for it. But then we all have days because we're human where you're like, and so I invite you to build your own rituals. Go work out. Sometimes I do motivational stuff from the spin bike where I'm like ruddy faced, no dripping, my hair's frizzy, but those get lots of views too. So you just want to find out what's going to work for you, and that can be a process.
I agree with that. And I remember that when we were doing our coaching sessions, that was one of the first things that you kind of customized for me because I had my own process. Even today, to be here today, I have to clear out time and I have
Right.
to have a clear head and I have to practice a little bit so that the words flow a little bit easier because it doesn't come natural to me to be here in front of this camera, even though it looks pretty easy, right? It's like butter, but
Well,
but
you've
it's
come a
not.
long way. And I just want to remind people, like wherever you are, it's a muscle.
It
People
is.
people don't roll out of bed and they're like, whoa, a Broadway star. People don't roll out of bed and they're like, yes, I'm the Heisman Trophy football player winner, right? It's like anybody who's succeeding has done a lot of work and skill. Some
Hmm.
people are going to have more natural talent than others, but things can be developed. And so the biggest challenge, Angela, is can you be uncomfortable? Can you breathe into being uncomfortable and take daily action? And so that then you have a whole new level.
Yeah, yeah, and knowing that the message is more important than that discomfort.
Right.
Anything else that comes out of what you do or anything else that comes out of it. And that's one of the things that I keep in mind is that you know, if you have something to say, it's hugely more important than anything that you're feeling. So I can vouch for that. And as a former client and any woman that's out there listening in, I definitely encourage you to take that next step. I think you may have alluded to this a little bit earlier, is the you don't need perfection. That was another one of my biggest hangups is that perfection thing. And because I didn't know how to speak or properly or anything like that, obviously you just shut down. So the other thing was just accepting your humanness and the fact that you're going to put yourself out there, you're going to get better, right? Better at you do it's like you that muscle gets a little stronger with more practice. So never shoot for perfection, just shoot for done.
Well, and another great slogan is perfect doesn't help anybody.
Anybody. Oh,
Not real. And that's why I try not to use filters and I shoot in all different kinds of light because that's life. And I'd rather people are going to judge me by how I look. Some people don't like curly hair or super
mhm,
white, short, curvy women, whatever. Then okay, there's plenty of other fish in the sea. But the people that resonate with me, I'm all about, I would rather have heart than polish.
mhm.
End of the day, we want to work with people that we know, like, and trust that are relatable. And if you're too perfect, people can't relate to you. And so why pretend?
That
It
is
doesn't
so
serve
perfect.
anybody. It doesn't serve anybody to pretend. You know what? I love those Instagrams when people are like, this is my Instagram living room and this is reality, right? When they show like, this is what I present. And then this is like, if you're living in your living room, it's going to get messy, especially if you have kids, right? And so I
Yeah.
love that. I love it when people show their real selves because that's reality. And I think one of the reasons women hold themselves back is because we feel the pressure to conform to those ridiculous standards. I just got back from Europe. I know we're going to talk about that, but I feel like in the American culture, we're just wound so tight. And there's so much judgment and criticism and self-judgment and self-criticism and compare despair. And I'm like, oh my God, why can we all let that go so we can help heal the planet, please?
Mhm. Yeah,
Please.
let's do that. So let's segue to that wonderful trip because it's perfect actually that you brought that up because how I knew. Not only did you tell me you were going to be in Portugal, but I also saw it on your Instagram feed. You shared so much, and your potential clients are out there looking and experiencing that trip with you. But the other piece of it is that I believe wholeheartedly that travel is just integral to self development because you build this empathy for the world outside of the US and the standards that we have. So I am a traveler and I come back with something new about a culture all the time. So Elaine, just what did you see? What did you learn? Tell
Oh
me
my
about
gosh.
Portugal.
How long do you have? No, I mean, I can't recommend it. It was a magical country. I've had the benefit. I've spoken in Australia and Canada, and I've been to Europe several times and New Zealand. But this was the most magical place I've ever been to. And I think it's a combination of it's on the edge of the Iberian Peninsula and it's right next to this big Spain. And they've had to really fight. That's a scrappy little country. And they've had to really, their castles all along the boundary. And then they were
Mhm.
attacked from Africa. So it's been a scrappy little country for a long, long time. And of course, I love seafood, but the people were so gracious and so open and like apologizing for their English. And I was like, well, I'm sorry for my obrigado. Like my lack of Portuguese, I learned thank you. But I could go on and on. The cuisine, the architecture, the smash up of cultures and religions. I mean, it's just beautiful, beautiful place. Lots of variety with the shore and then the mountain towns. Lisbon is a very dynamic, international, cool city. Porto as well. But I think one of the things I was reminded again of the connection of humanity. Like
Mhm.
I would greet people with a smile and respect instead of, because part of there's this image of the ugly American that was in the 80s, people like just overweight, waving money and yelling.
Mhm.
Why do they don't like us? Well, because of that. So I always and I try to do that in life in general, but like represent my country, right? And be like, we're not all obnoxious or barbarians. So I would always try to greet people with a smile and thank you. And it's just amazing how when you show respect and like really granting somebody being, like really seeing them and acknowledging them, they bend over backwards to help you. Like so many people, like and this was in Spain as well. I was in Caceres in this grocery store and I like to buy spices when I travel.
Mhm.
I was asking questions and all these people were trying to come help me because my Spanish is not great either. And so I was just reminded once again of like human to human contact and how when you can, kindness is just, you don't need a language for kindness and love and connection. And and that goes to my other point is like I could write on and I will keep writing about it of the places but like those magic moments, right? And so like we're in Cesares in the old city and it's like the biggest old city of medieval times. Game of Thrones was filmed there and like we're walking and there are these huge walls and there's churches everywhere and we hear this guy sitting on the steps of a cathedral playing acoustic Spanish guitar. And like he was like a master. He was like Utmeyer Lieber. Like he was amazing. His name was Horacio Zavado. And we saw him that morning. We just sat there and listened, and it was reverberating. And I was like, this is why we came. And so that we walk around the whole day. We're looking at stuff in museums and pictures and all stuff. And as we're walking back at the end of the day, he's there again with a friend. And we were like, Horatio. And so that was special. And he remembered us. And so we listened again and clapped for him. And then the next morning, he was there again with a different friend and we took a picture. But like to me, those are those moments when you get to connect with another human being.
Mhm.
That's what makes it's travel to me so magical, and seeing how other people live. And I learned about I want more space in my life, Angela, because I love what I do. And there are some days I am on Zoom from 7 in the morning until 9 or 10 at night with a few breaks because I love teaching, I love coaching, I love speaking.
Mhm.
but I also realized that I need to get out and move and I need to be in the world and not just online.
Yeah.
And how when you love what you do, sometimes that can be a little bit of a trick. And so I really got like, oh, I love space. And so I'm going to be taking more walks. I'm going to be shooting more outside. I'm going to be more discerning about who I give my time to because I know that when I can fill myself up regularly, then I have more to give. So
Yeah.
I've always heard that when you go away on vacation, you come back 20 times better. But I just learned some things about myself that were just like, wow.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I got to see a lot of the watch a lot of the videos. So I was on the trip with you. So I want to just segue a little bit because did you know that you can tell a lot about a woman by what she packs in her suitcase?
Yeah, I have jokes
Yeah.
about that. Yes, amen.
So I know you and I are both in our 50s. So, Elaine, if I opened up the suitcase that you packed to Portugal, would I find all comfy shoes or would I find those special heels that you may have packed for a special night? So,
Uh,
since we're both in our 50s, did you ditch the heels altogether or do you still have one pair in there somewhere?
well, I have to say, and I really encourage everybody to plan a trip, even if you're saving a little bit every week or month. Like it is just such a fun thing to research somebody place. And no, and thank God, because I was gonna bring these hiking shoes, but they're heavy. I'm so glad I didn't. So I had one pair of sort of like a wedge heel, and
Mhm.
I wore them twice. And the first time I was fine. And the second time we were in this mountain town and walking in the dark. And I was like, oh my God, this is the worst idea ever.
How big was the wedge? Like, were they platform?
No.
Yeah.
And they were really well-made shoes that the leather and springy and but still like for super cobblestone, super big hills, you really want to have like a sandal so I saw a lot of people in Birkenstocks all
Mhm.
over. And when you're walking on cobblestone for hours, I had my Chuck tees and
Mhm.
I ended up wearing those the most. I had some sandals, but I didn't break them in time. So the first week, my feet were a wreck. But you know, when you're like so excited, you're like, oh my God, I have blisters everywhere, but I don't care. I'm so excited. Like I love to walk. So we were going up and down and up and all around Porto and Lisbon. But you know, in hindsight, I'm like, next time you need to break in your shoes before your trip. But I really loved my canvas and I would wear them with sundresses. One thing that's fun is you can kind of wear these days, there's so many cool, hip, sort of walking shoes. You can get
Mhm.
away with stuff. And I have to say, Angela, like I used to always wear heels. I'm short.
Mhm.
I was like, I will wear heels to the day I die. And I don't ever want to wear those old lady ugly shoes ever, 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 ever. And I want freedom and I want to be able to move my body. So
Mhm.
maybe I'm going to have my own shoe line someday, but I really like having some kind of a little bit of cushion and sole, but the Converse were great.
So you just so basically you do the same thing I do because I also like back in the day I used to like believe me I think I had one suitcase just for shoes because I because you had to have a different shoe for every outfit. But when you really get out traveling, that becomes so unimportant
Yeah.
because you don't need it. You actually hit the nail on the head. Basically, it's more about being out and about and learning. And comfort is everything. And the cobblestone,
Oh
you don't know
man.
where you're going to be walking. So those little outfit shoes just don't line up. I like that you did the platform or the wedge because I think that's the most practical actually.
Yes. And
Because you can work on a dirt road with it or something like that if you're
well, and
if
I
that
saw
happens.
this poor lady. I saw this poor lady like at the top, like it was like, I mean, like San Francisco kind of hills in Lisbon.
Mhm.
And like when you come out and you just have been walking like 3 minutes and you're like, I need another shower. Like,
Yes.
woo! So there was this castle that was up on a hill, on a hill, on a hill. And where you're literally like leaning in to walk. And this poor lady had on flip flops. and she was an older American and out of shape. And she was like, oh no. And I just felt for
No.
her because I
Yeah.
thought, oh my, that's such a scary thing. So I mean, the older I get, I want to be stylish, but I want to be able to move.
Well, we're gonna do a whole episode just on travel shoes then.
Okay. Well, I think
Because
there's something coming.
we're gonna pin that one because that's a great topic, and I can just keep on and on. That's wonderful. I want to thank you for being with me today. And those of you who want to know more about Elaine, you can find her. I encourage you to find her. She's on captivatethecrowd.com. She conducts a master class on, is it every
It's
third Thursday?
it's every third Thursday of the month. And it's usually something to do with Instagram reels or short form videos. And even if you're doing them, you should come because you're going to get some new ideas. You're going to get sparks. And what's so exciting about short form video, Angela, and I know you're doing them too, is like, it's just such a great way. You think about what you're going to do, and then you can repost it lots of different places.